This video is about replacing a single pole and three-way wall switch. The first thing you need to do is turn off the power. Power is off. These are the tools that I'll be using today. Pliers, needle nose pliers, Phillips screwdriver, flathead screwdriver, knife, maybe wire strippers, and it's always a good idea to have a voltage tester standing by. These are the switches I'll be changing out today. We're going to change these from normal single pole and three-way switches to a nice Decora switches and wall plate. First, I remove the screws. Actually, before I do that, what I like to do, since this plate has obviously been painted, is score it very gently around with a sharp razor knife. That makes it easier for the plate to come off. Next, take the screws off. And remove the wall plate. And you can see it's a little dirty in there. We'll brush that dirt out. Next thing is to remove the single pole switch. Doing this in real time, folks. No editing, no shortcuts, no rehearsal. I'll pull the wires out a little bit. And what we could do at this point is double check just to make sure the circuit is off. No juice on there. We'll put our tester on the hot and the ground wire. I'll check the other wire just to be sure also. Everything's dead, no response on the meter. And I'll take out the other switch. This is the three-way switch. Pull that out. Pull this out. Note the three-way switch has got three wires on it. A black, a red, and a white. And it's very important that these wires go back on the new switch in the same place as they are on this switch. This is the single pole switch. There's two wires on here. This wire is actually looping through to something else here. It's very common. Electricians do that. It's a little shortcut. Nothing to be concerned about. I think we'll change the single pole switch first. Loosen the screws. Remove the wire. Okay. And remove the ground wire on this. Okay. Now, we'll put ground wire on first. Note this says top on the switch. On these types of switches, you want to make sure you put top up. Now it doesn't matter which screw, which wire goes on. I do whichever one is easiest to get on and put back in the box. Squeeze that a little bit with the needle nose. It doesn't come off. And we always put the hook or the loop in the direction that the screw is going to tighten down on. That will force the loop to close in on itself. And we'll just snug that up just a little bit, just so it fits on there a little bit tighter, like so. Now these screws have to be good and snug, but do not over tighten because they will break. The switch will break, that is, not the screws. Well, sometimes the screws have been known to strip. Okay, now the tricky one, the three-way switch. Note the black screw. The black wire is on the black screw. That isn't always the case. What color wire goes on the black screw? It should be the black wire, but depends on who wired it. But make sure when you take this black wire off the black screw, it goes back on the black screw of the new switch. And this wire loop is a little tight because it closed in on itself like it's supposed to. Well, here we have the three-way switch, decorator style. Note the black screw. And we'll put this on the black screw like it was. We'll tighten that loop up a little bit. Now these switches also have holes in the back for just inserting the wire straight in, and it will hold it in place. Personally, I like the screws better. You know how tight they are. You could always go back and tighten them up again. Now, the red wire on the old switch is in line with the black wire on the old switch. So we'll put that back on just the way it was on the new switch. Like that. See, it's got a nice loop on it. Put that loop back on. And we'll tighten it up. Nice and snug. Do not over tighten. Otherwise the switch may break. And now the last wire goes on the last screw on the other side. Okay. That hoop got a little distorted. We'll fix it up with the pliers. Put that back on. There we go. Snug that up. Okay. Note the top on this also. We'll put that back the way it was. Okay, so what you do is fold these wires in. And what I'll do is I'll get this switch started here a little bit. Just catch it, just to hold it in place. What's nice is the manufacturer has provided Phillips head screws, so that if you want to use a cordless drill or cordless screwdriver on this, makes things a lot easier and faster. Okay, and we'll put this back in like this. Hits the bottom screw. Tricky to see, but I know it's there. There we go. Okay, we'll snug these up a little bit. Now let's get this one down too. Snug it up. Alright, now at this point what I'd like to do is check the switch positioning for the wall plate. And this one switch on the left, the three-way switch, doesn't fit in the plate too well, so let me just knock that over just a little bit, like so. Let's see what that looks like. That looks pretty good. Let me just snug these down just a little bit more. Okay, now these screws on the switch do not have to be excessively tight. Just enough to hold the switch in place and keep it from moving. Okay. Now this is a plastic wall plate, so you want to be a little careful. Oops. Drop the screw, folks. Sorry about that. You don't want to over tighten these screws, because the wall plate will break. Now, to give it that final nice look, line the screws up vertically. And that'll give it a nice finished look, like so. And that's it. That is how you install a single pole switch, or replace a single pole switch and a three-way switch. If you have any more questions, you could email me at the iFriends email address on my profile page, Mr. Electrician.